99% of your problems can be solved by talking to your customers. So we don't expect our customers to give us every solution, not at all, but we can listen, probe, and then from there build something that, they think they need, because sometimes a provider doesn't necessarily know what they need because they're so ingrained in doing the same process over and over that, the thought of having all of your payments instantly reconciled would be like, that would be impossible for that to happen. To never chase an invoice or to have your tax-free childcare automatically reconciled, or for a franchisor to know how effective their marketing is. But then to bring that to life, so then that franchisor can make a business-based decision on marketing, on where they focus it. So yeah, my top tip is just listen to your customers.
Hi everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disruptive Franchise Podcast, kindly sponsored by Bookwhen and Make Your Mark podcast agency. This week I've got the fabulous Jack Curtis from Pebble joining me. Hi Jack.
Hey Stacey, how are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Thank you for coming on and having a chat with us.
Most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. I will let you introduce yourself, so I'll hand over to you. Pebble were a sponsor at the 2024 Disruptive Franchise Awards, which is why we brought Jack on to have a chat about all things Pebble, disrupting the market. So yeah, Jack, tell us about Pebble and what you guys do.
Cool. So yeah, what do Pebble do? Pebble have recently just been voted the number one education, straight in with a plug already, but we've just been voted the number one education tech company in the UK. So what does that mean? What does that entail? So our platform can facilitate the modern activity provider who will run typically across numerous different business types, like holiday camps, after school clubs, franchisees, franchisors, wraparound care. And a key reason to why we've seen that growth is we split our focus on what the organization looks at. So yes, we look at the experience that the children's activity provider actually has, but also the huge part and the very underlooked part in our industry is, what do the parents go through? What does the actual end user go through? What is that experience for them? So we really look on how can we optimize that and give an experience that almost doesn't even feel like you're booking. It's so quick and seamless that it's brilliant, you've done it, and you're on to the next thing without really realizing. So that's really our focus as an organization.
And it's so important. I've got 3 kids myself and they book onto various different activities, and actually you don't want to have to linger and find the login and all the rest of it. You really just want to get in, get out, right?
Yeah, especially because there is a lot of competition in our space, and we've noticed that a lot of customers aren't necessarily satisfied. So they'll have one software one year, the next software the next year, and then 2 or 3 years into that, you can always start to see the questions in the business owner's head of, no, am I going to have to make all of my parents sign up to another software? And when you've got 2 or 3 children, that could be 5, 6 softwares. So yeah, it's the quick and seamless part of their experience is ultimately what comes and gets a provider to use Pebble quickly and then trust us. And then that's how we grow together from there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So in terms of my relationship with Pebble, so at Daisy First Aid, obviously we spoke to you guys quite early on. And what was brilliant actually for us as a franchise was the access you could provide into like other industries.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us, that was quite key for our franchisees, kind of tolerating us saying, hey, here's another thing to sign up to.
Yeah.
In terms of kind of that idea for Pebble, like, I don't know what point kind of you got involved or how it evolved, but like, tell me a little bit more, because you had an investor, didn't you, right at the start? That was kind of...
Yeah. It's still that same investor as we've grown now throughout several rounds of funding. And the idea of Pebble started at fundamentally that what parents are experiencing, their way they can access care, is famously lags behind all other industries when it comes to technology. So that was the main pain point that we wanted to solve. And then from that, you could see it kind of split down into nursery providers, a marketplace. So parents were struggling to find classes. And then as that transitioned, we had these conversations and we kept listening to what people want. And what we found was that the biggest problem was the booking management side of things. And that's really where we made an organizational shift maybe 18 months ago to 2 years to really focus on this. And we were seeing growth, but ever since we made that switch, it's where we've seen really impressive growth. And thankfully, the more customers that we get on now, the more conversations we can have, because that's the real crux of how we grow is we listen to providers. And then from that, we bring on more, we solve more pain, and then it just snowballs, which is really what we're experiencing at the minute.
I love that. And actually, to listen to that end user is so key, because actually, a lot of the time with providers, I work with loads of different activity providers across what I do, and they don't have the time to put that in. So for you to be able to offer that back to them actually is so valuable, right?
Yeah, and we've heard the other side of they have put that information forward to other softwares, and maybe it doesn't get taken on as quickly. And then we have the really very lucky opportunity, and we'll have several conversations, and an organizer will say, I need, I really need this piece of software that will make my life a million times easier. And then we take that back, and then we think, oh, this could be useful for this provider and this provider and this provider. And then in, a couple of months' time, that idea is real life. And then that customer that was thinking, oh, Pebble is pretty good, they're listening, they now see it in real life. And that's where we are really creating these wonderful partnerships with organizations, because we listen, and that then shows a real side of care to it.
Yeah, I think from what I see from the outside is your approach to innovation as well is very fundamentally based on listening to experience, like you said, but also not being shy about, yeah, let's go and change things. So you've been very disruptive actually in the last few years, like watching you guys grow in that industry and making changes and bringing people along. How's it felt to be inside that?
It's pretty relentless. The more we spend time in the education space, the more opportunity there is, the more problems there are to solve. As it started as a marketplace where we can give exposure, that then turned into booking management. And then from booking management, it was after school clubs or community-based classes, maybe that's run by a franchise. That then turned into holiday camps. From that turned into processing tax-free childcare. From that turned into a wraparound care facility and working with schools and boards and governing bodies. So the more you scratch the surface, the more impact we can have. And thankfully, because believe it or not, given how much I'm talking, we actually really love listening. And the more people we can listen to, I think the bigger picture we can build of the education space.
At the point where you came into Pebble, Jack, how much has changed in that landscape since kind of like that? Like you say, you've gone through so much, you've added so much in. What's been the biggest development for you since you've been a part of it?
So to go from no customers to well over 1,000 customers, been right here. Still actually remember the first meeting that we had when we was launching the marketplace, and we all sat down and we had a walkthrough of what it was going to look like. And then we were told, and then we'll put payments in 6 weeks time. And we was like, what? We can't take payments. So from literally that early on, and then now to being crowned the number one ed tech company in the UK, voted by Time Magazine and 44th over the world, was quite a crowning moment for us in terms of that was based off revenue generated. So that was why we've seen so much growth.
And that's an incredible achievement, isn't it? Like you guys must have had a big party for that one.
Yes, we did, but I think it's we see a milestone, and from that it's then how can we move on to the next milestone. And we know that we might only surface 3 to 4% of the market currently, and we know there's tens of thousands of providers out there. So I think that we were only just scratching the surface, so we don't want to celebrate too hard yet. We still know that there's a whole world out there for us to get off.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And what is next for you guys? Because I see you, and wrongly or rightly, I see you guys as very much UK providers, and I see you popping up everywhere. Like, is the world your oyster? Are you heading out or?
It's certainly the plan. There's a lot of opportunity, and it's just making sure that we pick the right opportunity. There's so many organizations that work in so many different continents, but each continent comes with its own challenge. If it's, for instance, if we take North America, maybe the language side of the platform is fine. But then if we go to maybe the UAE, then that's a bit more of a challenge. So when it comes to language, but maybe less on compliance, we're really just weighing up every option. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some international expansion soon.
Would get that. It's that thing is that I think within franchising, definitely a lot of the conversations that have come up on the podcast have been like, if you could wave that magic wand, what would you do? And a lot of that answer comes from taking it international. And, without writing your business model for you, like, I think a lot of that hesitation is, well, how do I find the providers for X, Y, Z? Who's got the knowledge in that market? And, on the surface, a market is one thing, but when, like you say, when you're looking at compliance and regulation and stuff like that, it's a whole nother ball game, right?
Yeah. And when we reach capacity in the UK, I think we can take it much more seriously. But right now the mission is to just be the largest platform in the UK when it comes to any educational booking.
Love it, absolutely. And from a kind of nurseries point of view, you had a huge database of nurseries, right? When Daisy First Aid started working with you, certainly. Like, is that an area that you're still growing in?
Yeah, and thankfully it's one that grows organically now. So we know that the sales cycles in nursery industries are quite slower, and there's lots of moving parts to it. And so that's still just there in the background. But yeah, the base of nurseries is continually growing, and the parents that we can facilitate, and that was the first problem that we solved, continually giving us great feedback of, you know, before famously, if we've got some parents listening, it was a real challenge to book these extra sessions in nurseries. Maybe you come for your 3 allotted days, but if it fell outside of that, maybe you're ringing up as soon as that nursery opens, or you're scrambling to ask grandparents for some care. But now thankfully you can just log on and book care instantly. So it means the nurseries generate more revenue, parents get more care, and ultimately the child is fundamentally looked after, which is the most important thing.
Amazing. Please, can you move into doctor surgeries? That's
Maybe one day.
a whole other marketplace. You get the parents on board though. Brilliant. So last year you guys sponsored the Revolutionary Award in Disruptive. What made you guys get involved with Disruptive Franchise Awards in the first place?
So firstly, we was actually nominated for the award. So we was up for Team of the Year, which is again a testament to the team. And if you look at our reviews, yes, we are a software-based organization. However, if our reviews, it's the service speaks the volumes. And again, that's a testament to getting this nomination to be Team of the Year. And then from that, it was, the disruption is at the core of everything that we do. So to be involved with something like a disruptive franchise or organization was, just exactly what we needed as an organization to work with, because it's when you get the same heads in the same room, I think you can really, that knowledge compounds and those ideas grow, and you can really turn, just a whiteboard session into something pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. What I love about the awards, actually, so this is my first year running them, but I've been involved for various different reasons over the years. And what I love about it is you've just got this room of really open thinkers in a market that really is built on compliance. We want everyone to comply in the industry, but actually, without that disruption, we can't grow. And what I really love about the awards is that we're looking at disruption within the franchise market, but also, like yourselves, disruption in how franchising has gone and disrupted the market that the business operates in. So yeah, that's I see the alignment there for sure. Awesome. If someone's listening now, Jack, and they're like, okay, I would love to be more disruptive, what tips would you have for them?
Listen, this will be a common theme, but for sure, listen and don't assume. There's a quote that, 99% of your problems can be solved by talking to your customers. So we don't expect our customers to give us every solution, not at all, but we can listen, probe, and then from there, build something that, they think they need, because sometimes a provider doesn't necessarily know what they need because they're so ingrained in doing the same process over and over that, the thought of having all of your payments instantly reconciled would be like, that would be impossible for that to happen. To never chase an invoice, or to have your tax-free childcare automatically reconciled, or for a franchisor to know how effective their marketing is. But then to bring that to life, so then that franchisor can make a business-based decision on marketing, on where they focus it. Is it a territory? Is it a sector? Is it after school clubs, or is it holiday camps? And from that, they can then grow their organization, which is grow for them, brilliant, but also grow for us too. So yeah, my top tip is just listen to your customers.
I love it. How important are the metrics? Because I imagine as a tech company, you guys, and as you just said there, like from a franchisor point of view, making the right decisions to go in the right places. Like, what importance do you guys place on data?
Yeah, so we track every single element for how long it takes someone to build a listing, for how long that takes a parent to book that class, on how they're booking. Do they book on their mobile? Do they book it on a computer, a tablet? Do they then pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay? Is it a payment gateway that we use, like Klarna or Amazon Pay, for instance? So that is all then looked at to the amount of seconds a parent is actually transacting, and we know full well what that time is and how much quicker we are than our competition. And it's not just to sit there and be like, okay, brilliant, we're half the time. It's brilliant. How can we make that, 75% quicker than our competition? And it's constantly looking and iterating on how we can improve for the parent, therefore improving the life of the activity provider.
Yeah, I love that. Really love it. What's I don't know if you'll be able to tell me or not, but what does the future look like for Pebble?
Our future is it's up to our providers. Again, I know that's a very cliche answer. We want to be the biggest and best platform in the UK for the short term. And right now, the amount of feedback we're getting, so we ask every single parent goes through the Pebble booking flow. Right at the end, we say, what was your Pebble experience? So we're currently at 4.94 out of 5, which is, you know, great from, hundreds of thousands of booking each month. But we're not 5. So how can we continually improve that? And what we see is, for instance, it was higher than that, but then as we started to look at wraparound care, that review rating started to drop. Okay, so then that means there's some unhappy parents. So we then have focus groups with parents monthly to understand what they want. Then we speak to then how do they want to book? How does that then translate into what the school will then be using? So all of that is like a big cycle of just listening, building, and then just, feeding that back and constantly iterating.
Amazing. I mean, with so much listening and so much data and so much feedback, how do you decide what the priority is from a dev point of view?
Again, just how many people have requested this. Our roadmap is only ever 4 to 6 months long, and it is never, ever, ever going to run out. We know that for a fact. Just when we think, we're making progress, we get, a ton more feedback. So we literally make it as easy as a parent can, as a activity provider on Pebble, can literally just click a button and request something. That then comes through to our product and engineering team. We then make a decision based on, that what that company needs, how quickly we can implement it. Can we improve it? Or actually, is there a different way that we can think about doing it? And all of that is then taken into account. Who else will it benefit? And then that's how we make our decisions.
I used to work at a tech-based company, and it was always the hardest thing, like as one of many, to get your idea like on the roadmap. Like you have to really fight for it.
Yeah. It's thankfully we get the same requests at the same time. People are experiencing the same thing. So a big one for us recently was people are spending so much money on marketing, but they didn't know how successful it was, because if you were using a specific booking widget on your website, that parent would come to your page and done, and you actually can't convert. So organizations, especially franchises, are spending, sometimes thousands on marketing a month to have no ROI on what that is. And for us, that's a huge problem. And everyone we spoke to said, yeah, well, no one's been able to do that. And that's what we want to hear the most. And, our engineers will take that as yeah, well, we'll give that a go. And then the next thing, it's a live working product. So that's certainly it for us. When someone says they can't do it, we'll be the judge of that.
I think that's the core of disruption, isn't it? Like wanting to be that one that solves the problem because nobody else can. Like I find that when someone tells me you can't do that, like I'm going to do it because you told me I can't do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The burn inside you that just drives you to just find that thing, whatever that thing is. I love from a tech point of view that you just build it, right? Because you've got that expertise and you just go, right, okay, well now we know how to do it. We just build it out.
Yeah, and I think it's that's just, well, one thing we're really experiencing now is as we work with, and we've had some very large contracts come through quite recently for nationwide organizations that will be working with us. And for us, it was a case of this organization said we need all of these features. And unfortunately, sometimes we actually can't say yes to them. It's impossible. But what we do is we create such a great relationship with these customers that actually they're willing to join us with even 50% of it because they saw Pebble a year ago. Now they've seen it 6 months ago, and now, over the last few weeks. And what they can see is our mission. And that's what people necessarily buy into. And that's the care that they can feel with their organization, that we've said maybe now's not the right time for Pebble. But then they come back and say, no, please, no, it definitely is the right time for Pebble. So it's very lucky to be in that position, and definitely a testament to the team we've got. But yeah, it's that constant learning, and we can't just do everything.
It's good to have that with or without you energy though, isn't it? In terms of like, you provide such a great service and you're so dedicated, and you are like, your growth has been rapid over the years. So to be able to be like, yeah, maybe now's not for you, just makes people want it even more because
Yep,
they don't like being
start saying it to everyone, I think.
It's do you know the philosophy of the cat charmer? You heard this one? So for those that haven't, so the cat charmer is you go into a house, if you're like desperate for the attention of the cat's just not interested. So it's quite a big marketing strategy. So what you do is you go in and you ignore the cat. And then the cat's desperate, absolutely desperate for your attention. So they'll, purr at you and like wrap around your leg, and like that you can't get rid of it. So yeah, it's a good marketing technique. That's good for sales. We have to ask about AI because you guys are predominantly a tech business. Like, is AI something that you guys are kind of actively using? Like, what's your plan with AI?
Yes, we have several softwares within AI that are fundamental to how we listen to customers. And so from every phone call that takes place, we then analyze it to really understand what people want, what triggers they want. From every demo call that we have, that's then plotted and tracked, all of that is then fed back and written up to the how does AI then interact with our customers. And we've got a support agent now that we've named Mia, which is my intelligent assistant, who's an AI bot that lives within the platform. And it's amazing. They sometimes know Pebble far better than I do, with all of the feedback they can give, and it's constant, it's there all the time, and it works with us. And we recently done some CSAT scores, and most of the time people actually didn't realize they was speaking to AI, which again is a very amazing thing to show how far that's come. Where it will go in the future, I think, because there's a lot of software right now, it's picking maybe the best one. There's so many mapping tools that can allow for a franchisor to make business-based decisions on territory growth and so on. So how can we get that into our platform? The list is really endless of how we can get AI into our platform, but we don't want to just pick an AI software just because it's a bit of a buzzword at the minute. We need to pick the right one that's right for us and right for our customers too.
It's getting that balance, isn't it, of the personal versus like, using it for big data sets, and the analysis just obviously makes sense. But then how does it continue to enhance your customer experience and your experience as a dev team, right? So amazing. Jack, if you could do anything, if we waved the magic wand for you and you could do anything absolutely guaranteed not to fail, what would you be doing?
Just, it's a bit cliche, but to continually build our ecosystem, we will not fail. So it's like the wand's been waved on it already, but for us, we have really only scratched the surface of what we can build within the space, what we can do within the space, the amount of parents that can use our software, and most importantly, how can we make these enriching activities for children at the forefront of everything that we're doing. And we know that from all of the conversations we've had, we want providers to play to their strengths. And we speak to football coaches that started massive football organizations now because they love football. And actually they're getting so bogged down on spreadsheets, invoicing, same way, maybe a dance school is not able to sell merchandise through the booking experience, and then they're reconciling that back later. All of these things where we can allow someone to play to their strengths, have more time in that classroom environment, so the children get more attention, they can have better opportunities, better classes. And that all starts with the Pebble software. So it's a big old chain from there on out. But yeah, it's just to go back to your kind of question, building what we're doing right now for us is going to happen.
I love that. I really do. And I think it's such a key driver in business success, because I think the question's quite a loaded question. Of course it is. But actually, without failure, you're not going to learn. But equally, it's looking at failure from a point of view, well, failure ultimately is to not be able to do something. And you know that actually everything that you try, you're going to do. There might be
Yeah, we
deviation from the way, right? But actually,
we have got products wrong for sure, where again, it's maybe we thought we'll have a first discussion. Oh yeah, this customer definitely wants that. We then, can just assume, and then actually it's, oh, well, actually I didn't want that. Or another customer says, I think we could do it that way. So it's not to say that everything we've built has been absolutely perfect. And we know that each feature that we build is not the final product. There's so many things, frustratingly for me, that get missed out. So engineering, if you're listening, stop missing those things out. But yeah, for us, it's definitely that. Yeah.
what is it about the culture within Pebble that allows that?
I think you get so many different reasons for why Pebble exists at Pebble. You've got so many parents, for instance, that at Pebble that are just so sick and tired of using a million different softwares to book classes, and it's a terrible experience. You've got more maybe personal stories of my younger sisters. I've played football my whole life, joined 1,000 football clubs around the corner, but for someone that maybe, isn't necessarily so sporty, that they really want to study art and so on, that the only time that they were looking at art and studying art was for 2 hours a week in a classroom. And now how can we make these classes and clubs accessible? And I know that, my parents would have booked those classes in a heartbeat if they knew they existed. And so it's about creating that and having so many different people bought in on so many different reasons, all with the same end goal of, we just want to create this software for the industry, because we know that, famously education does lag a little bit behind, and there's no reason for it to anymore.
Yeah, I love that, Jack. Really do. It's such an important mission as well. Like, and in franchising, we always come back to like the why is the impact. Not many people franchise a business because they want to make millions of pounds. They franchise because they want a bigger impact. And that, to me, from our conversation, seems exactly like that's where you guys are at with Pebble as well. So, well done. Anyone listening that is thinking, right, okay, I need to speak to Pebble, how do they contact you?
Yeah, head to the website, and there's a couple of different options. You can book straight into to chat with somebody in the team, or you can get a trial account, and we can send you some login details, and you can really experience Pebble for yourself. If you do go down that route, we will want feedback on how it looks and how it works. So that's certainly something to be prepared for, because as we grow, we know that with human capital, there's going to need to be an element of people coming in and self-serving themselves. And we see a lot, for instance, of our inbound traffic that comes in. A lot of people are doing that Friday evening, Saturday evening, Sunday evening, and we need that functionality where they can come in and build their class now. And if we're around, we can have someone, like last week, we had about 10 new customers that came to Pebble that week, signed up that week, and then process bookings that week. So it can be so quick and so rapid. And it's usually within the day, because everyone expects for this to be such a long, arduous task. And then maybe say, well, we can do it today if you want. Yeah, all right. Not like that's going to happen. And I think that comes into our kind of value proposition. And then the reason we price ourselves so effectively in the market is because we know that the more people that use us, the more feedback that we can get. We want to be the biggest and the most expensive tool, but right now we could sell our product for a higher rate. However, we need more people coming in and using us and giving us feedback to grow. So that's again I always think the surprising part at the end, where it's almost half the price of our competition. And it's sometimes it's like, yeah, come on, like what's the catch here? But thankfully there's no catch, and people absolutely love us. But yeah, it's that's something for us to look at in the future.
Love it. Thanks, Jack. We'll put the link to your website in the show notes as well so that you'll be able to go there and just click and find you guys. Thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you. It's been so insightful to see what goes on behind the scenes at Pebble. So thank you.
There you go. If anybody's listening, we're all ears. So yeah, come on over.
Brilliant. Jack, thank you so much. That's it for this week. I will see you on the podcast next week.
Yeah, see you, Stacey. Bye-bye.
Bye.